All right, welcome to the Well for the month of March, March 3rd, 2025. And I'm leaving up my background with the butterfly, and you'll see as we move through the reading for this month why. So, first, let's just start by getting present. I'm Maria from Integral Bloom with Angela Marie from Grounded Dreamers. And thank you so much for always offering such uplifting soul growth readings for us every month. So let's just take a moment to find breath and presence and just take a breath in and check in with your system, with your parts. And just take a moment to grow roots down into the earth and find what you're grateful for in this moment. Just getting present to gratitude alone creates a context of gratitude to live inside of. And then let's open up into the reading for this month.
Right, here we go. Speaking of gratitude, we're going to work on restoring our balance. The first card we got is nurturance. And I noted in the group, the Pause at the Well group that we just did, that this has a wintry scene. So I love how this is coming through, at our tail end of winter, and how, if we could get ourselves prepared for the activity of spring and the growth that comes naturally, by restoring our balance. Maybe we have imbalance between our inner self and our outer world, or between us and the divine, or between us and another person. Wherever there feels that, it feels like we don't have that balance, pay attention to that. Our first step, the guidance asks us, the first thing is to look to where we have energies suppressed. Do we have unspoken thoughts? Do we have feelings that haven't expressed out that we're hanging on to? Do we have plans that we want to execute, but we're not making a move because we're holding ourselves in place? So pay attention to where you may have suppressed energies and work toward the release. It's funny how when the cards come out, they tell a story, like it's a primer for how to get to the next place sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right? Step by step,
Well,
look
and
where you
actually,
have suppression, find the
well, the
release.
month-to-month readings do too, right? So last month, the reading was about kind of being in sanctuary, coming through from a survival energy to being in sanctuary. And so this reading moves us into nurturance, and we'll go through, right? And then we're also transitioning from the winter seasonal soul growth challenge. We've been in the winter soul growth challenge that we do seasonally, and we're going to be doing the spring one too. So even the first card, winter always turns into spring, right? So that snow is going to melt and the buds are going to start coming through, the warmth is going to start shifting. So the month to month readings also are a journey, and then the seasonal growth readings kind of hold the umbrella of the journey inside of
It's
that,
exactly that. And I think the
right?
winter challenge was take time to breathe, right?
Yes.
More of that restorative
Yeah,
energy.
very wintering energy of restoring and taking time to breathe.
Yeah. So we're at the tail end of that, and now we're going to look for our balance. I love that. It really does flow. Um, and then we got the release card. So this is not, we've talked before how this work isn't, oh, I'm just gonna, change it all overnight. I'm gonna release everything and start fresh. Yeah, it doesn't really work that way
Doesn't work that way.
at all. But if we can start to identify where we have stuck places, and be willing to let that flow and let that release and go, that's what the nature of these cards is, right? It's not an instructional to say release it or else you fail. It's okay, what can I let go of in this moment, right? And then with that release, right, then you create space in your energy to receive. And I got angelic assistance next. So letting go of stuff you're holding on to creates space for you to receive the guidance you need to bring it forward, to make your next step.
And it
Uh,
also said on the card, loving support.
Loving,
So,
yes,
yeah,
divine guidance and loving.
and loving support as we're releasing to receive that loving support.
Beautiful and filled with light. Look at that imagery. through the crown and out the hands.
And also the wings. I just noticed the wings of the angel, like the butterfly.
Yeah, beautiful.
Hmm.
So that's it. Release and receive, release and receive. That's the cycle.
Hmm.
And then I
But
got
receive loving support, right? To be
loving, so
there.
yeah, not
So
receiving
many
criticism or, yeah, tap into where that love is coming from because it's always there.
be healed by it, right? Not the
Yes.
judgments, not the criticisms, be healed by the loving support. Yeah.
Bypass the judgments and look for the love. Um, and then we come again to sanctuary, which was sort of part of last month's theme. And this brings about the feeling for me of making sure now that you've made movement within your spirit, right? You've identified release and you're willing to start bringing new energy in. Now you want to make sure that with that space that was created, you're replenishing your power within. You're replenishing your inner being by um, creating a separation, not running away and hiding in a hole, but creating a separation energetically between you and the outside world, between you and your past, between you and another who may, create a roadblock, and really just build up your own power within so that you can proceed forward with that balanced power.
Right on. And what you just described are boundaries. It takes boundaries.
Yes, absolutely. And then we move on to this card adjustment, looking
Hmm.
back, moving forward. So now you've created that movement within, you're intentionally rebuilding and replenishing your inner spirit. Now you get to really look at your circumstance and decide, what am I going to bring forward with me? And what am I going to leave behind? And how will I proceed when I take my first step forward? You get to put the pieces in place and set the intention for how you want to um, move on from whatever imbalances you may have felt. And then what would a reading be without trust or patience, or one of those that reminds us to listen to and be aware of the signs from the universe and being willing to go with that flow. Like this figure, she's flying through the air, and
Hmm.
whether or not she hits, a dark storm cloud coming up, or starts to lose her height and flying lower to the ground, or whatever changes in her journey, she's still holding that trust. She believes that going through that storm cloud will bring her out with more space on the other end. So, and that comes with that inner power, that inner balance that we're trying to achieve here. And then the outcome, or the final card of this portion of the reading, this spread, is Earth Spirit. Now we get to
So,
get grounded in all of the changes that we've made, get grounded and get stable in that.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
Stabilizing in the
stabilizing
earth
it.
spirit. Yeah, I'm just looking at well, we'll get there. The exciting end card we'll get. But the spirit, the earth spirit to what we'll get to. But let's take a moment to receive whatever you're receiving from the reading and see what that means for your life right now. Like what might you be able to connect to that you've been suppressing? Like what might you be able to connect to in this moment by just bringing your awareness internal? And you might even in this moment invite it to rise and take a breath in and then release and hold. Maybe you might want to hold the idea and be with it, or hold the communication and decide how you want to share it, or maybe you want to journal, but just see what's there for you from the reading and begin to get clarity on what intention you want to bring to your month inspired by the reading. Ah, right. So let's move into the second part.
Okay, the second part, we ended with that stability, that earth connection, and we
Yeah.
start with earth magic, which is taking that grounded, that stable energy and moving forward with it. This is fearlessness, removing obstacles. Now you're ready to take and gather those energies that you realigned and grounded again and move them forward in a more stable fashion. Um, but if it's a project, if it's a relationship, you want to get to the next level, if it is maybe a physical move, maybe it's just all inner spiritual work that you're working on, trying to realign some things within you. This is all, this path can apply to any of that.
Mhm.
And with that earth magic on our back, riding off into the sunset, we next get Green Man, more earth energy. But this one, I want to take a step further and the synergy, pay attention to where you have that flow within you, between you, your ego self, and your spiritual self. Make sure
Mhm.
there's no blocks there and it's connected and they support one another. And then between you and the divine, your source, the creator, whatever the word you use for that collective oneness and that universal spirit that we all know, making sure that we're in sync, right?
Mhm.
Flow with the universe. That will help us on our path. And then, like I said last time, what's a reading without us having trust or patience?
This time we
Like
had trust and patience.
we have both now. But this
Yeah.
is a reminder, like we said earlier, this stuff
Mhm.
doesn't happen overnight, right? We are not going to just change ourselves magically just by saying, I release everything that I worry about or whatever. This is
Right.
a patient journey. And the every little move that you make and every time you take the time to clear what's suppressed is progress. And so it's just a reminder to trust that journey and also to listen. I love how this came up right after patience because we forget sometimes that part of communication is listening.
It's
Part of
in.
communicating with the divine is listening back for what messages you receive again, right?
Well, and
Uh,
how we listen to ourselves is
and I was
critical.
going to say ourselves too, and our own intuition and being able to trust, you can hear either whether it's your mind maybe making a criticism and saying go in that direction because you're stuck, or your intuition saying this feeling of being stuck is part of my journey. I'm willing to listen to my next step, listen for my next step. There's a more gentle process involved there when you're willing to have patience and listen.
Yeah.
I love that because that's one thing I get a little stuck on. I always want to make the next decision quickly. Um, then we have instinct. This is it. What I was saying. Listen to that intuition. This instinct feels like in preparation for making that move, whatever that first move is going to be in your cleared out new spirit sense of self. What will I do next? But you've taken the time to process and sit with it before making that next choice to go forward. And I love how that's kind of sparking off the second half of this reading, which is where the surprise is at the end. um, and then I got creation. This is also, look at that receiving. The water dripping down through her head is coming from the divine. And then she gathers all those energies in between her arms and decides, how will I proceed with this? What can I create from this beauty? What can I create from this love that's been received? So I love that because now it's time to actually make decisions and assess where you are and take some action forward.
Hmm.
And then again, in the spirit of patience, or maybe just a greater awareness, I got traveling. And this is
Hmm.
just a reminder, nothing is a straight line. It's not overnight. None of this work is going to happen with a specific pace the whole way, right? We have valleys and peaks and cloudy spaces and clear spaces. But this is basically like reminding ourselves that overall, the template, the path of our entire life journey is a greater purpose than what's happening in this moment that may have us feeling stuck. So just
Exactly.
expand it, breathe it out a little, and realize it's all part of your entire life plan.
Yeah, the card with the wolf also had those beautiful mountains in the back. And then this card had just the mountains with the sun there, so a line in the direction of that light and the sun and the warmth.
Right.
Yeah,
And the sun, right? The goal never changes, whatever that is. The goal of completely transcending where you are to where you want to go, the goal stays there, but the journey looks different for everyone, right? Um, and the timing, all of it is just part of a bigger picture. And we get micro focused sometimes in the places that we're stuck now or the things that are happening in the world now. But if we take time to breathe it out and see in the long run, right, we will reach that sun. We will, then it eases that a little bit. And
Mhm.
all of those practices and processes and awarenesses lead us to our final card, which is transformation. And this totally coincides with Maria's upcoming
The,
conference that
but-
she's planning. But yeah, you've
the
been able to
butterfly spirit.
the butterfly, and this is why we have that the butterfly background. But it is, and this whole reading could happen over and over in your lifetime, right? It's just a matter of releasing, making space, being willing, getting stable. It's all part of that same journey toward a completely new version of yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the other connection I just made is to adjustment. I just realized that connection is so important, so that, yeah, the nurturing, which, is the releasing that which has been suppressed, and then receiving and being in sanctuary with that process. And then the adjustments that are required as we transform, right? We're in our lives in a totally different way. And so adjustment is required. Shifts are required, and shifts just occur. So anyway, I was just making that connection too, to,
Definitely.
yeah. And I want to just say, like, the magic of butterfly spirit coming in, and it was earth spirit before, right? So in our reading, it was the earth spirit earlier, and then butterfly spirit came in. So I always like to highlight how you, Angela, never predict in advance what the cards are going to be. So it's not like you knew about my conference and the theme is transformation in the land of enchantment and you pulled that card. It all comes through just spontaneously and organically, which is what I love as a psychodramatist. I just love that about our readings from the well. So thank you so much. And I encourage everyone who's listening to get super intentional about your month as usual, and really think about what your values are, get intentional about that, and let that sense of purpose really drive your life. And Angela does individual readings too, if anybody ever wants to book with her through groundeddreamers.com. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. Have a beautiful month.